right, guys. So as you can tell, we're back at Old Town Barber Shop. Week 9 of Blitz Creek. I know.
Week 9.
What happened?
I feel old. What did happen? A lot. A lot has happened.
Between that, we've had kids get stuck, been on vacation.
Iron workers in studio.
Yeah.
We've had technical difficulties when dealing with late night technology.
Yes.
So
it's been a whirlwind. But here we are. And for all you people who are listening, you can't tell that there's something different. There's no title. That's what's different. So,
there is no title. That is, oh man.
Yeah.
I thought there was something different. No title.
But since we're at Old Town Barber Shop and we have a third person, the mic is on a comb.
Which is, I mean, I can't think of anything that's more appropriate, but also, what would we call it? I don't know. We've just kind of jerry-rigged things together. So, hey, at least there's, well, unfortunately, there's no 18-month-old that's
creating havoc.
Yeah, running around wild.
So with all that being said, that's become my new phrase. With all that being said, we'd like to thank you for going to YouTube and watching. Those numbers are growing, and we appreciate that a lot. Also to our Apple and Spotify, we appreciate you as well. Continue to listen, comment, like. John, I saw your comment, and I kept the order the way you liked it. And I don't know how it was a neutral field, but that's been fixed on Max Preps because it didn't say that this time. So I read your comments. Also, to our sponsors, if you don't like wearing a conventional belt, I don't have a video. Wish I did. Josh gave it to me. I called, da-da-da-da-da. But if you don't like a conventional belt, you need to check out Appa Bagworks. He now has a belt that does not have a buckle. It has ridges and magnets. And that's how it's held together. You can yank and pull. It's really hard to come off. So if you're in for a new belt and you don't want to deal with the buckle, give Appa Bagworks a call. You can check it on Instagram, get that thing done.
Yeah, I was going to say that's really cool because I had talked to Tanner and shown him a couple of different belts that I had because we were coming up with a belt that would help my dad. My dad has a disability and has a hard time with his hands. And, we were sitting there racking our brains about a bunch of different stuff. So, yeah, it's really cool that he's basically come up with a solution to that. And it's the only one on the market. So, yeah, check it out.
But if you're doing really bad in your husband duties, go check out his handbags. It'll make the wife really happy. Or you can check out one of the wristlets. Or you can go to Bohemian Gray and check out a wallet for yourself. There you go. And if you're having troubles anywhere else, as in law, criminal, call Andrew Scruggs, attorney at law in Bluefield, Virginia. He'll get you done right. And then the one and only sponsor that's better than any other sponsor out there, because he's got a title. You can't see it right now. I told Robbie I was going to put it on him, but he said no. But Old Town Barber Shop. You need a haircut, your beard trimmed, or if you have no hair, you just want him to give a nice wax, come to the Old Town Barber Shop. He'll get that taken care of for you. All right, before we get into our picks, we have Josh with us as always. But today, if you remember the last Richlands Tazewell game, we got Robbie Davis.
Hey guys, how's it going? Glad to be here.
That's all he's got for you.
We're just trying to rack our head around some waxing and Corey.
What we were waxing.
I'm not sure what we were waxing either.
I'm just trying to get more comfortable with the podcast, and as I told you last week, I didn't know what to do with my hands, and This is a pretty good podcast. I don't care. I'm holding a comb and a mic. So there you go.
All right.
All right, hot takes. What do you got for us, Josh?
So there's a couple of Max Preps, of course, and you can go on Max Preps and find all kinds of interesting information. But I thought it was interesting to see some of the 2A standings statewide. And there's two teams that I kind of kept up with on the other side of the state. There's one that's starting to stand out a little bit more than the other. Armstrong, of course, is undefeated still. But I thought it was interesting that Max Preps doesn't have them up towards the top because they just got done beating Douglas Friedman. Or no, they beat Henrico. And, they've beaten a couple of 4A teams. Thomas Jefferson is 4-3 right now, but they've beaten 5A teams at this point. And I think it's interesting to see where those two teams start to rank out. But it's also interesting to see what Graham did this past weekend and what happened. They shot up a lot of those rankings just from that one single win. And they've got another shot this week to make some noise too, after basically being dormant and non-existent the first half of the season. And we're in week 9 and now they're starting to make some noise. So I think that's the biggest takeaway. And then I don't think it's a hot take, but Union was Union. And they, Lebanon did what I said they needed to do, which was get points early because, Union tends to blow people out in the second half. Union stayed on schedule on the scoreboard. And, it was tied going into half, and then it was just the Union show, and that's what it's been in far Southwest Virginia all year long. It's been the Union show, and when you want to be the man, you have to beat the man, and they've beaten Graham 2 out of the last 3. Now, Graham got them when it counted last year, but we'll see what happens this year because they look like a totally different animal.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, we have 2 different standings. One is by PowerPoints. One is some guy that does some prep work. With the PowerPoints, you have Union at 1, Gate City, Ridgeview, Lebanon, and V-High rounding out the top 5, with Graham, Richlands, and Lee going into the playoff picture, with Tazewell, John Battle, Central Wise, and Marion. On the other side, there's just one little change. You move Gate City, Ridgeview, and Lebanon down, and you pull Graham up to 2nd. I think that one looks a little more realistic.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm talking about with Max Preps. Like those are computer rankings, so they have an algorithm. It's kind of like Massey or Ken Palm and all that stuff, and they're just pumping in numbers. That algorithm spitting out a ranking based on strength of schedule, your opponents. It's not even strength of schedule; it's more of strength of record, right, which PowerPoints are supposed to do. But at the same time, PowerPoints just give you a lot of points for wins, no matter who it is. So It's more of a premium on wins because it's kind of hard for the average person to kind of wrap their head around someone that's 4-3 being better than someone that's 6-1. Just because they say, well, 6-1 is better than 4-3, but Graham just annihilated. And when I say annihilated, they annihilated Virginia High. Well, Virginia High
45 to nothing.
Yeah, Virginia High had one loss. That was to a big Tennessee High team out of Bristol on the other side of the line, and so you would think even 6-2 is better than 4-3. But Graham annihilated them. So you see in those computer rankings huge sways and jumps. That's why I was also interested to see Armstrong being as low as they were in the Max Prep computer rankings, because they were down around 3 or 4 or 4 or 5, and I think that they're better than Pocosin, heads and above better than Pocosin, even though Pocosin is number 1 in the state.
Right.
according to Max Preps.
All right. Now, Galax, another hot take. They have canceled all of their games for the rest of the season. And that's going to put us into our first game. Friday night, Fort Chiswell, who is 1-7, will take on the Marion Scarlet Hurricane, who are 0-7. And the reason that was our segue, that's Fort Chiswell's only win, and they beat them like 47-0.
They did. So I guess I'm going to start this one out. In my notes, and I have this big piece of paper. There's like a couple of different things here. It says the Battle of the Bads.
True.
This is a chance for either one of these teams to get a win. The problem is it comes at the end of the season, and we've talked about this before in previous seasons of the podcast. It's super hard to motivate the average 15, 16, 17-year-old kid who's just gotten their teeth kicked in for the most part all season long. They're 0-7, 0-8, and here you go with a huge chance to win, and you kind of miss that opportunity because you're just worn out and you're just not motivated to get up and get going after it one more time, which is kind of where I'm going with all of this. Who's more motivated here? Is Fort more motivated because they have that one win and they see a completely defeated, they're not undefeated, they're completely defeated Marion team that's, just got blown out by Tazewell? And maybe they see that as an opportunity to cash in a win and they get super motivated. Or has Fort packed it in and Marion sees this as their last opportunity to get that W, especially at home. I was trying to look it up. I don't know if this is Marion's last home game. If it is, which it very well could be, if it is, then it's senior night. And does that motivate seniors to gut it out, to tell their teammates, gut it out for me. This is the last go here, and we've got a great opportunity to beat a Fort team who, like you said, their only win is a thumping of a terrible Galax team that no longer exists. They've completely forfeited the rest of the season.
And it blows my mind because Galax won the state championship in 2020.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, they couldn't finish the season. Well, they had to forfeit games last year, and their coach walks away. And then
they have a new coach now. Apparently, he's having a really hard time getting kids to buy in. I've talked to some people over there. He's having a real hard time getting enough kids out to obviously make it through the year. So.
Yeah, and they basically said, for the safety of our kids, we've decided to forfeit the rest of the year. So,
But this is not senior night. They have Richlands next week.
Then this is their best shot at getting a W by far, right? Because if Fort
game for us?
Mm-hmm. If Fort and Richlands are playing, we're saying Richlands is blowing Fort out, no doubt about it. So this is Marion's best shot, but it's also maybe it's Fort's best shot to get a solid quality win. And if Region D 1A is like Region D 2A, shoot, 2 wins, especially against one of those wins being an upper division team, that might get you into the playoffs. You might sneak into the get that 8 seed. And you get one more game to play. I think Marion being at home probably helps them. I did talk to a couple of people, and there was a lot of from Marion early on in that Tazewell game. I think you see that again. I like Marion 20, Fort 8.
Not knowing anything about Fort Chiswell and very little about Marion. I know Marion runs a weird offense. I always have. It's hard to plan for. I'm going to stay with the Southwest District. I'm going to go Marion 22, Fort Chiswell 8.
So, looking at Fort Chiswell's scores, they're just getting blown out by Carroll County. Floyd demolished them.
Floyd's good.
Yeah,
Floyd's good.
But we know Marion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I thought Marion run that weird offense, but now they're a spread. The thing about Marion that gives me hope in this game for Marion is because they had some good returns on Tazewell on kickoff.
Yeah. Special teams was.
So if their special teams can put them in positive field position, I think they can take the advantage on Fort. But just like College Game Day, I was going to pick Marion, but I'm going to take Fort Chiswell in this one. 19-17.
It very well could be that because Marion turns the ball over too much. They need to limit their turnovers and take advantage of good field position. They didn't do that against Tazewell.
No, they did not. All right, so let's move from Smith County to where we're going to take Friday night at 7 o'clock, the Lee 5-Star Generals with a 2-5 record travel to Wise Central to take on the 1-6 Warriors.
All right, so who should pay attention to this game other than Lee and Central?
Tazewell.
Absolutely. Tazewell should pay attention to this game because it matters a whole lot. A 3-win Lee team makes it even harder for Tazewell to crack that last section into the playoffs, even if Tazewell pulls an upset this coming Friday night. So Tazewell fans really need to root for Central because I think a 2-6 and a 2-6 Central team and a 2-6 Tazewell team. Tazewell's already ahead of them in the points as it is. I think that would hold par for right now. But a 3-win Lee team makes it really tough on Tazewell. So who is Lee? Lee is the same team that we talked about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, on the podcast. They're good against the bad, and they're bad against the good. Right?
Yep.
And that's the way it's been. Literally, it's consistent as consistent can be. It's almost as consistent as a good bourbon. Central. I'm not sure what to say about Central other than they've had opportunities to win games, and they've just let it slip through the cracks. They go down to Marion, get a solid win against Marion, at Marion, and then come home and try to parlay that into another win that would give them the opportunity to get into the playoff picture. And what do? They basically poop down their leg against John Battle and let John Battle have a fourth quarter comeback and lose at home to Battle 31-28. So my question is, if Lee is bad against the good and good against the bad, can Central make it a fair fight? Because if it's fair, what does Lee do in a fair fight?
Right.
We don't really know because they never play someone that's just like them. They did a couple of years ago, and Battle ended up getting them. So I just wonder. I wonder what happens when Lee plays in a fair fight. I think Lee's the better football team here. Central is just, they're tough. Maybe they've packed it in. At the end of the season, when you have one win, it's hard to get motivated. If you've got no wins, it's even harder to get motivated. But if you have 2 wins and you're in the playoffs, it's not that hard.
Right.
You've got another week. So I'll take Lee in this one, but closer than the experts think. Lee 21, Central 19.
Now for the guy who has seen both of these teams live.
I've watched both live. I went to Lee, went to Jonesville, also went to Wise and watched Wise Central. Both played Richlands. After seeing both the teams, I feel like Lee is the more talented team. They do have some injuries to some key players. I think they're starting running back blew his knee out early in the season, so that really hurt them. They do have a couple kids that can hurt you. And we were in a game with them until halftime, and then we kind of turned it on in the third quarter. But Wise, I didn't see much out of Wise. I'll be honest with you. They're very one-dimensional. They run that some kind of version of a Marion type offense, and they I don't know that they completed one pass against us over there. So pretty much, if you stack the line of scrimmage and get them in long distance situations, you're you're going to make them pay, especially if you get up on them. They have a hard time coming back. So I think Lee gets these guys maybe 30 to 14. That's where I'm at.
And I forgot to give you the predictions for the last one. And that last one has Marion at 53% winning that game 22-21. Now, we know Lee. Lee is pretty good. When Tazewell scrimmaged them, neither team got into the end zone. So that means some pretty good defense on that side during those games with some offenses that are trying to learn. But Wise, we've always seen Wise. Wise always plays hard. They don't like to lay down and die.
No, they don't.
I don't know. Oh, I got more notes. As I told you, I don't do well with notes. But here we go. Notes. Lee. Lee plays Union 49-14. Wise plays Union 47-0. Lee plays Richlands 42-7. Wise 42-7. Then you have Lee taking on Marion 28-7. That was a win. And Wise, Marion 19-7. So there's similarities. The only thing is Lee beat Marion. Wise did not.
No, Wise beat Marion.
Wise
too.
beat Marion. Sorry, that's their one
but they
win.
did it a little bit. They did it a little bit better.
Right.
Later in the season, too.
They're similar. That's what I'm getting out of this. I'm going to take, just because we need it, Wise Central 14, Lee 13. Now, the predictions have Lee winning this game 61%, 22-17. These guys haven't seen them until I just gave them to you, so there you go. Now, we're going to leave Wise County and travel to Dickinson County, where the Abington Falcons at 4-3, who Josh took to win the Mountain 7, take on the 6-1 Ridgeview Wolfpack. Does this Falcon team upset the Wolf?
Okay, so thank you for bringing up the fact that I took Abington.
Who did you pick?
Thanks a lot. Yes. No one ever forgets the fact that I took Tazewell over Princeton last year, too.
I never brought that up.
No, but other people do. I appreciate you bringing up the fact that I took Abington. But in my defense, let's talk about Abington for a second. Abington has... When was the last time Abington was at full strength? It was realistically the Christiansburg game. Because after that, they lose their quarterback. They lose a lot of their offensive linemen. And what is Abington supposed to be? Abington is a kind of a pro-style, under center, run downhill, ball control, throw it over the top, use your tight ends when you're bootlegging and waggling out. And they hadn't been able to do that. One, they hadn't been able to do that with an offensive line that can protect or run block downhill. And they also hadn't been able to do that with a consistent quarterback throughout the year either. But what have they done the last 2 weeks? They've scored almost 90 points. And they look like, now granted, who they played, I'll take that into consideration. But they're scoring and they're controlling the ball and their defense is playing well. So is this an Abington that's at full strength? Maybe they're starting to round into shape a little bit too. Now, granted, their 4-3 looks kind of miles away from Ridgeview 6-1, but Ridgeview hasn't played a lot of teams either. And when they did, they played well for a half, and then they got blown out.
The only team that was Union. They haven't played Gate City yet.
Right. So there's lots of unknowns in this game, I think, for both teams, and that's really crazy to think about being in Week 9. I don't know where Abington is health-wise. I don't have any insider information on that, but they have been playing better of late. And I agree that the Ridge got back on track against against Battle. Who hasn't gotten back on track against Battle? Thank goodness Battle is Idle this week. Otherwise, well, even Idle might have a good game against them. I think in this game, and sometimes I think we overplay home and away in high school because it's not like you're rolling into Ohio Stadium and there's 110,000 people and there's crowd noise and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes it's difficult when you have a long road, a long trip, and also a windy trip. So I think playing at the Ridge is worth some points. But the other thing is Abingdon has been a thorn in Ridgeview's side the last three or 4 years, and they don't like each other. They do not like each other. But I think that everyone would say that Ridgeview's going to win because they can score points. Their defense is pretty good. They don't give up a lot of points, but they don't play a lot of people. Abingdon's been bad throughout the year. They've been up and down. I think Abingdon's playing good at the right time, and the Ridge has only seen one team that'll run right at them, and they didn't fare very well. They did for a half, but not very well after that. So I think this is a close game, but I'll take Abingdon, my original pick, 31-24.
Well, I've seen Abingdon in person when they played Richlands. Abingdon's huge. They've got a kid, rumor has it, I don't know how true it is, a tight end that may be
It's going to be a Tar Heel.
UNC Tar Heel. He may want to rethink that after the year like that. But anyway, they're huge. They do have some athletes on the field. I don't really know what to think about Ridgeview. I mean, it seems like you get all hyped up about Ridgeview, and then Union rolls in and make them look like they've never seen football before. Traveling over to Ridgeview means something. I think that's going to be worth something. I know these guys get up for Abingdon. They hate Abingdon. There was a couple years ago where there was a call made over at Abingdon that cost Ridgeview the game, maybe Mountain 7 title. I don't remember, something there. It was pretty close.
Yeah, I'd say the Abingdon people might argue the point.
Right,
but,
right.
But it makes for good conversation.
Good conversation. They don't like each other. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 24-27. I'm going to go with Abingdon in the upset. I think they're playing really well, and I think those guys are huge, man. I mean, when I talk about, I saw going by comparison as far as linemen, like Union is huge. Like I saw Union last year. Same kids are back. They're senior heavy. They were huge last year. I'm sure those kids didn't get any smaller. But Abingdon was huge. Their line was really big. So I'm going with Abingdon in the upset at Ridgeview.
And I wasn't saying the reason you picked Abingdon to make that out there. I was showing that they have a good football team, okay? I don't know if the quarterback's back. I don't know if they've lost him for the season or not. But the one thing I can say is I talked to Ridgeview's coach, and I would run through a wall for that guy if I was in his locker room. Oh, here comes the Tazewell guy walking in a Richlands outfit. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to take the Pack. 32-17. Now, the prediction has Ridgeview winning this one 87%, 35-17. Now,
well, why don't you just write that down and then just take those numbers?
I don't want to take those numbers. I had 32 in my head. All right. Now, the game that this county has been waiting on, Virginia Tech versus West Virginia, the backyard brawl. It's about the same energy between the two teams. I'm hoping for the same outcome on my end of the other backyard brawl. The Richlands Blue Tornado, who are 4-3, travel to T-Town to take on the Tazewell Bulldogs, who are 2-5. Josh.
So let's talk about the way you feel about these two teams, because I feel way different about what Richlands is and what Tazewell is. At 4-3, And we just talked about a 4-3 team in Abingdon, and that 4-3 with Abingdon feels even different than the 4-3 that Richlands has. Because I feel like Richlands is a really good 4-3 football team. I feel like they're better than 4-3, what the average 4-3 football team would look like. Tazewell, on the other hand, at 2-5, I'd say that's probably about where you would expect them to be, but you feel like they're miles away from Richlands, and it's just a couple of wins, right? It's not like you've got a 6-1 team playing a 2-5 team. Like they're closer together in the points. They're really close in a lot of stuff. But the way I feel about this game is that Richlands is just miles better than Tazewell. Maybe that's because Richlands has consistently scored, been in football games, whereas Tazewell has either blown out their opponent. Granted, Grundy did score a late touchdown and mop-up duty, and then blown out Marion, or they've been blown out. Like, there's not been a game where Tazewell's just been in a football game. It's either one or the other. But Richlands has been in football games. They played decently well against Lebanon, but Lebanon just kind of scored early, which was not Lebanon's MO, and hasn't been Lebanon's MO all year. But Lebanon scored early, and I think that was a big difference in that football game. There were a couple plays in the Gate City game where Richlands gets back to within a score, and then Gate City just kind of puts more points on the board, and the game's over. And then you go back to the Virginia High game in week 0, and you think, gosh, a tackle here and a tackle there, and Richlands is in the ball game. A tackle here and a tackle there, and Richlands might win that ball game. And what are we talking about with a 5-2 Richlands team that's gotten a win over Virginia High, and a 4-3 Richlands team that lost to them in week 0? So I feel like both of these teams, like the gut that you feel, the gut feeling that you get when you talk about Richlands and Tazewell, are just miles apart. I will say this: Tazewell has played really well the last 2 weeks. Now, I did say they looked tired against Grundy, but traveling to Grundy and dealing with Grundy, I think can kind of do that to you, and you get up early, on Grundy, and you kind of go through those lulls, especially over there. But Tazewell has really played well. Here's an interesting stat. Tazewell has 11 turnovers this year.
But how many after Whitaker?
Well, no, I'm talking about their defense. Their defense
okay.
takes the ball away.
Yeah.
And, you talked about Marion having great field position after kickoffs. Well, Marion parlayed those into errant throws that were intercepted. So Tazewell's defense is opportunistic. They're stubborn. They're big up front. And the other thing is you get a Tazewell coaching staff that has coached against a coach at Richlands in practice a lot. So there's some familiarity. And I said this against Giles, with Tazewell and Giles, because Coach McDaniel on the defensive side of the ball, we came up with a really good game plan. After playing Giles for a few years, we started to understand how to play against their offense. We don't play them every year. All those teams over there in the Three Ridges and all that sort, they play them every single year, so they kind of know how to deal with Giles. But I think Tazewell practicing against a lot of the offense that Richlands runs helps them in the long run. Recent history, no matter what the record is, these are close games. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, Richlands had maybe one of the worst football teams they've had in my lifetime. And they had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter.
It took a weather delay for us to come back and win that game.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you think about...
We remember.
I think about years ago at Richlands when we scored like 50-some points and they scored 40-some points. And, it's just this back and forth affair. In recent history, these are close games. It doesn't feel like it should be a close game this year. But 2 years ago in Tazewell, it didn't feel like it should be a close game either. I didn't write a score down, but I think Richlands is the better football team. I think Tazewell has gone through their growing pains. They figured out who they are offensively, and I think that matters a lot, but I don't think it matters enough. It pains me to say this. No. Tazewell 21, Richlands 14.
I thought he was going to do it. I was excited. Well, I have a lot to say about this one. Just really because I have a kid on the team. I try to, he's had a rough year. Good, bad. He's learning. He's a sophomore. He's behind a senior. So I'm proud of him for sticking it out. These guys, man, are not your normal Richlands team. And when I say normal, I say the last 5 years. They're different. They are different. The strength and conditioning guy that they've got in there, Coach Barrett, they've really been hammering it hard. We had, I think, over 10 kids bench over 300 pounds this year. So that matters at the end of the day. The emergence of Andrew Boyd, I think, is another big thing, our quarterback. I don't know exactly his stats, but I want to say he's somewhere around 14 touchdowns to 3 interceptions on the year, and that's huge compared to what it has been. It seems like the game has slowed down a lot for him, and he is throwing the ball really well. His deep balls are looking really good, and he's got a lot of weapons that, like I can't say that we had in the past. We've got a Absher kid has kind of came out of nowhere this year as a wide receiver and caught several touchdowns. And you got a big kid in Jamie Capshaw that also plays wide receiver that can scoot, and he will hit you. And then we got a speedster in Riley Perkins who can take it to the house at any time. But I really believe that this game is going to be won in the trenches. And, our defensive line, we've got some kids that I always say this. You always want a kid on your team, and this right, wrong, or whatever, crucify me over it, that's going to get you a couple 15-yard penalties. You want a couple of those guys.
I don't.
Yeah, you do. You need a couple kids.
You need a couple guys that you need to say whoa instead of go.
Yeah, they've got an edge to them. And we've got 2 or 3 kids that are probably going to have some penalties Friday night right off the rip, just because that's who they are. And, for example, I was picking up my son earlier this week, and it was like they were like huddled up to break it for the end of the practice, and there was a big fight broke out on the field. And I'm pretty sure one of these defensive linemen that I'm talking about were involved in a big scrum. It took a lot to get them pulled apart. They just got a couple of those guys now that we've been known to have over the years. I think that's what wins this game is those defensive guys. We have been really, in my opinion, we've gotten better against the run, and that's kind of Tazewell's thing. I know you guys are big up front. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Richlands is going to win, but I think it's going to be a fight because you guys hate us, and it goes back both ways. And you're huge on the line. You guys are big, physical. I think this guy's a good coach. I told Glenn when the hire was made, the guy at Tazewell, I like the guy. I watched him when he was at Patrick Henry against Honecker down there in the region championship. He made some adjustments at halftime, and if he had a few more athletes, he wins that game. Honecker just had a couple more athletes than him, and you know how it is. You can scheme up all you want to scheme against a team, but if you got a couple of athletes that'll make plays, the scheme's not going to beat that. I think this guy's going to have a really good game plan coming in for us. We've been off for 2 weeks. We had an open week, and that matters. Everybody that plays football will tell you, you're not the same team when you come back. You just are not in the same rhythm. Things happen. You're off rhythm, and it's going to take a quarter and a half for Richlands to start doing what they think they need to do. I do think the coach from Tazewell, Coach Dudley, has done some good things. I don't know the guy. If he walked in here, I wouldn't know him. But I think he's done some good things for our quarterback as far as our quarterback, he does well with people who are calm, with calm demeanor. And this guy seems to be that guy for him. He calms him down on the sidelines. He makes a mistake. He comes to him like, hey, dude, we got this. Chill out. It's going to be okay. I've seen a big change in Andrew based on that. I think it's going to be, I told you earlier, 35-21 Richlands. And it could be 35-28 Richlands. And it could be the other way. I would not be surprised. at all if Tazewell won this game. But I'm picking the Tornado to move to 5-3 on the season.
All right, so I asked the guy who walked in, you sure you don't want to give a prediction?
Is it edited?
No.
No.
This is live, baby.
No, what we record, we're going to put out. You can say no. We're just giving you the chance. Be on Blitzkrieg.
Number prediction.
Mm-hmm. He's
It's
thinking
hard.
about it.
It's hard,
He's torn.
but it's really not that hard.
I'm gonna say like 28-7 Richlands.
So he says 28-7 Richlands. He's got no faith in his alma mater. So, all right, from there, Tazewell. We were rough. A lot of turnovers on the offensive side when we started the season. But at V-High, we switched up. We put in Whitaker at quarterback. Things seemed to go a little smoother. We did lose one of our defensive tackles. He tore his ACL. He's out for the season. He's a senior. But we did gain back a kid who, as he says, 15-yard penalties, that's his MO. And he's kind of calmed that down since. And I hope we do that. The level-headed team in this game prevails. And that's why I don't want those 15-yard penalties. I don't want to give the other team penalties or yardage, free yardage. I don't want to do that. But on the other side, a name he didn't mention that he's mentioned to me every day is Winter Boyd. Big wide receiver that's never played football, comes out his senior year, and he's making a difference out there. Landon is the speedster, though. That's the guy, straight line speed. You got to stop him. Looked great against Gate City. Against V-High, they had the game won, 2 interceptions. That's the change in that game. Same with Gate City. Turnovers is a problem in that game. Games that they struggle in, turnovers. Games that they don't and they're winning, they're fine. It's the same MO for Tazewell, except we were given 3 or 4 away in a game because of interceptions, because we didn't have somebody who was a quarterback. And that's not bashing the kid that was playing there. He's playing great at running back. That's what he needs to do. When you lay all of the cards on the table, it is the backyard brawl. I bleed green, and we all know it. Right now, we've got 2 Richlands picks to a Tazewell pick. This says a 90% chance for Richlands to win this game 35-14. And I hate to say it. Richlands 28, Tazewell 24. We got a kicker finally. So, there you go.
Might just be 4 touchdowns and 4 blocked extra points.
But, yes, I think Richlands prevails in this game. I'm also hoping that's a little fire because I know some coaches listen to this. And we get out on the field and prove that pick wrong. But Richlands does have a great 4-3 team, and we've talked about it all season. They're not the 4-3 team that you think they are.
No, they're better than their record would say. They played a tough schedule too.
And the physicality seems to be coming back from the old days. You know, I've been following Richlands football. I was thinking today, since 2005, I don't know that I've missed maybe 5 games since 2005. That's all away games, everything. I haven't been going to as much the last couple years, but to away games. But I've been a lot of games. And what has been lacking in Richlands is the physicality that we've always been known for. And we're getting a lot of that back. We've got some kids that will hit you. And our defense is kind of, the offense gets all the headlines and Boyd's throwing touchdowns and they're running all over the place. But the defense, in my opinion, has enabled the offense to do what they do. They're getting a lot of 3 and outs. They're physical in the line of scrimmage. They're really good, in my opinion, at stopping the run. So I'm really curious to see what the Coach Padgett at Tazewell's got dialed up. I know he's got some stuff up his sleeve, and I'm ready to roll. I'm excited to see it. I do think it's gonna be an exciting game, and I think it comes down to the 3rd and 4th quarters, and could be turnover related. Whoever keeps it clean, keeps their mouth shut. Probably won't be a lot of that, but you never know, man. Crazy things have happened up here.
The team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. So
now, on Saturday It is not at a neutral site. Max Prep did not call it a neutral site this time. At 1 o'clock, Lebanon, the Pioneers, who are 6-1, travel to take on Graham, the G-Men, who are 4-3. And I don't think they're the same 4-3 that we're looking at.
Right. So we just talked about what Richlands looks like as a 4-3 team. I would say if you looked at the early part of the season with Graham, you'd say 4-3 is a great record for them after the first 3-4 weeks of the season. But if you looked at the last 3 games and you go, oh, well, this is what we watched last year, and you see 56 points, 45, 40 points, and then zeros and tens on the other side of it, right? So you see a defense that is playing the way they played last year. It just happened to take, a few weeks into the season for that to happen. Now, granted, playing Princeton is a different animal, but the Bluefield game's still very wacky to me. The Union game, maybe not, but what's that Union game look like now? I would say for a Graham team that's 4-3, welcome back to the picture. Welcome back to the party. What's the cheer that they have? GRAHAM? Tear 'em up, G-Men? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. So they're forcing turnovers. Their defense is owning the line of scrimmage. Their offense is owning the line of scrimmage, and they're scoring points. When you possess the ball and take the ball away, that's what football is all about. This is exactly who we thought Graham could be. We just hadn't seen it until the last 3 weeks. I said after that first win at Graham, where they beat Marion 56-0, I said, was that an anomaly, or is this who Graham is going to be? Well, they've proven that 100% that this is who they're going to be moving forward. Lebanon. Let's talk about Lebanon. Where did the offense go last week? Where did the offense go? You're averaging 53 points a game. You show up, you score early points, you do exactly what you need to do until halftime, and there's the difference. I said sometimes it's not about Jimmy's and Joe's, it's about X's and O's, and sometimes it's the other way around. Well, it was about X's and O's at halftime down at Union, and Union made the better adjustments. Point blank. The line of scrimmage is an issue for Lebanon on both sides of the ball, and Union exposed it. I think Lebanon needs a little balance in their life. I think they need a little balance in their life. But it's hard to have balance when you don't own the line of scrimmage. Keys to victory, the line of scrimmage. Either Graham continues or Lebanon finds a way to do it. It's that simple. It's going to come down to that. Own the line of scrimmage. Unbalanced. Graham does not have to throw the ball. They need to own the line of scrimmage and own it in a big boy way and run it down Lebanon's throat. Turnovers. Lebanon can't turn the ball over. Graham can't turn the ball over. But you have to minimize those turnovers. But if one comes your way, you have to score. So you have to cause turnovers at all costs. Because when the brakes are going against you, you can't let up. You have to put on more steam. Is this the same Lebanon team that we saw last year? Where at the very end of the season, after having a great run, lose to Graham, Tazewell, Virginia High,
Right.
and then go to Virginia High and lose again.
Mm-hmm.
And what a great season just goes kaput at the very end. Is this Graham reasserting itself in the Southwest District, saying, I'm the big dog, you got to beat me? Yep. Graham, 34, 11, and 20.
I feel a lot of the same way that Josh does. I've seen Lebanon in person. I tell you what, if you clean up a few things in that Lebanon Richlands game, it's a different game. couple calls in the first half I told Glenn about. I don't like to harp on referees, but there was a couple of pass interference calls on 3rd and long that if we get the ball back there and score, it's a different ball game.
Right.
I was not impressed with Lebanon. Their quarterback's the real deal. And the receiver, the Baker kid, is very good. I'm not taking anything away from those two. They're very weak on the line of scrimmage. They have a lot of freshman starters on both sides. And Graham is going to eat them for breakfast on the line of scrimmage. I promise you that. The Palmer, defensive coordinator for Graham, has watched every film this year that Lebanon has. He will have somebody in Reese's face every play. And he's going to have to make quick throws, quick decisions. And Graham is, I think Graham is pretty much where I thought they would be. I know everybody's been down on them. I knew they were going to be great on defense. We're going to see them in a few weeks down at Richland. Should be, I don't know how that'll go. I think Graham is asserting itself. And Graham's the big dog. Until you knock off Graham, you can talk all you want. Lebanon has done this, I don't know how many years in a row. I can remember in the old days, Lebanon would come out of the gate firing, like 6-0, and then they would just get shellacked by a team that you're like, how did that happen? This Lebanon team, I think, is kind of out of the same mold. They feel really good about themselves, and they tell you about it too when you play them. I think Graham shows up and shows out 45-21, and it could be even worse than that if they get rolling up there. Because Graham's one of those teams that if they get rolling and running the ball down your throat, they're hard to stop. And especially if they're getting in your face and causing turnovers on Reese and he's throwing interceptions, it could get really ugly up there.
It could get ugly. I agree 100%.
And I think Graham continues to assert itself 45-21.
So, Graham Union couldn't throw on Graham. They had to run it down their throat all night. Lebanon can throw, but with the speed that Lebanon has, Graham's got the speed too.
Mm-hmm.
Their defensive line, they're going to eat them for breakfast. That's just going to happen. I mean, you got Williamson. I should know his first name, but I don't. He's going to be in the backfield all night. And they got other kids that are going to do that too. Graham's really good. The Palmer kids, both of them. One starting to find his footing, and the other one's just picking up where he left off. And then you got Bradshaw. And if you don't know that name, you better, because it's the other son. You had, Xavier? He played really hard and played really well, and now you got AJ. So you put all those factors together, Lebanon doesn't have the talent or the skill to keep up with Graham. Yes, they have the wide receiver, Baker. They have the quarterback to do it. But that's about it. They got the running back to do it. They just don't have a line to protect for it. So, with that being said, I like the G-Men 45-17. On the prediction side, it has Graham winning this 80%, 34-21. So, Now, here we are. Everything's been done. Everything's been said. Fill us in.
Hidden Valley was blanked again, 49-0 by Christiansburg. The sadness continues this Friday night at Cave Spring, just a couple minutes down the road, where they will get blanked again, probably by 40 points.
There's our moment of silence. Now, again, on the single A side, make sure East Side continues to roll. And let's see if Rock Cove can continue to stay with 2 losses.
Another surprise, Chilhowie.
Yeah.
I know.
Chilhowie has come out of nowhere for a contender in Region D 1A. So there's some good football being played around there. I'm not sure if Chilhowie's record looks the same as Eastside's record, but they're in there.
I think Eastside is, as of right now, is a team to beat in single A on this side of the state.
On this side, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's going to come down, in my opinion. It will be Chilhowie, Rock Cove, and Eastside of those 3 out of this region going to represent this part of the state in the single A. My money's on Eastside just because I've seen those guys play, and they're physical, big, strong, good quarterback, good skills position. Rock Cove is they've been there, done that. They got a great coach, and they are hard-nosed kids.
Mm-hmm.
They like to hit you, big kids. Got a huge offensive lineman over there. I think he's got several Division I offers at Rocco. They're big to be a little school. They have like 47 kids out for a school that has like 220. I mean, it's amazing how many kids. Most of those kids in that school that can play football do play football, but they have a great coach. So I always say if you got a great coach, you got a chance. I think it's going to be a barn burner at the end with Rock Cove and Eastside. Either one of those. Or Chilhowie. I mean, like he said, they came out of nowhere. They look really
looking good right now. Looking good.
And now, as three guys before the game say, we're a football podcast, but sometimes you may not think that. Sometimes you might think we're a food podcast. Because where are you going to eat out on Friday night?
Well, are we talking about the game of the week? Because if we're talking about the game of the week up in Bluefield,
He's going to Joe's Pizza.
No, I'm going to the rail yard, man.
There we go.
The rail yard. Now, you've got to go into Bluefield, West Virginia, but the rail yard, you cannot beat the burgers at the rail yard, and then get you a little cocktail, too.
But if you're the game for us, where are you going to eat?
For Tazewell?
Yeah.
Well, I wish I was going to be here, but I'm actually going to –
Christiansburg.
No, I'm going to actually be in Knoxville. My daughter's going to a Lainey Wilson concert.
Ooh.
Not me. I'm not going. I'm not as lucky, but she's going to be doing that. But if I'm in Tazewell, you can't go wrong with the Wayfair, getting some good food there. If you're here early enough, or if you come down super early, because I remember when Richlands used to play, if you didn't come and stake your claim that afternoon, you didn't get a seat. You had to stand. I'm not sure if there'll be standing room only this year, but if you come down really early, you can always stop in at, the Happy Goat. You can always pick up a sandwich there and keep it for the game, or go ahead and get them to cater it. The Happy Goat's the place to be.
I think I'm going to go with Roscoe's this week. I'm going to try Roscoe's.
All right.
I haven't been there, so it's going to be somewhere up here in Tazewell. I'm not sure. I'm not going far. I'm not straying far. I'll be here most of the afternoon I'm going to be in the stadium. My plan is to be there around 5-ish, 5:30-ish. I like to watch all the warm-ups, man. I can get a good feel of where people's heads are in warm-ups, and I'm usually in a really good mood or really bad mood based on what I see. So I'm excited. I'm always excited. I miss this game being the first game of the year. It was forever.
It was.
It had more, for me, it just had more, I don't know, more hype to it back in the old days when it was the first game of the year. And I don't know. I would like to see that happen again. Not sure that anybody else on either side is real gung-ho on that, but I think we used to rival. I don't know that we rivaled Grand Bluefield, but it felt that way.
Oh, it absolutely did.
It was great.
We started playing the first game of the season my sophomore year.
I seen
99.
What I always go back to as a little kid is being at Ernie Hicks Stadium in the line out front and seeing two 50-some-year-old men duking it out. And my dad was like, that's what it's all about right there. He's like, that right there that sums it up. And I've seen a lot of crazy stuff over the years in watching this rivalry. And it's a lot of fun, especially when we're competitive, and it has been the last 5 or 6 years.
Oh, man, they've been great games.
It's been some great games, man. Some coming down to the end of the games. And that's the way I want it to be from now on. I don't ever want it to be like 65-0 or 16-year, whatever. That's the way it should be. And I'm always happy when all the teams in the county are competitive. I mean, it's just more fun to do at the end of the day.
For me, if I'm going to Bluefield, I'm going to Savory Flavors.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some nachos, and then I would go to the game. But I'm going to be here in Tazewell. Wayfair's got some great burgers, but I would go to Elmar's, and I would get some nachos there or burritos. Robbie always eats the fajitas. It's his go-to. So can't go wrong there, and they have the best Coke in town. So, and Josh said he's going to be in Knoxville. This is a chance for you to catch hockey.
Ooh, Ice Bears.
If you're not going to Lainey Wilson, you can go to the Ice Bears.
Absolutely. Do they play on Friday? If they do, I'll do that.
So,
Tilly and I will be Rocking some Ice Bears.
So stay tuned to see if the Ice Bears were in his future, because last week the Bobcats were mine and they won their opening game.
Right.
Now, as the barter always says, if you like us, talk about us. If you don't, keep your mouth shut.
Go Vols.